What's going on, everybody? My name is Fake Thriller. I am joined tonight by Snoov603, and we are going to go over some of these patch notes that were recently publicized by DICE, and it is one hell of a list, so we're not going to go over everything, but we're going to point out some of the things that we've experienced and are happy about being changed. So, Snoov, you want to read the first thing we have on our list?
Alright, first off, we're going to go over the general gameplay fixes. Again, not all of them, just the things that we took away that were most important that you guys will probably really appreciate. First off, players should no longer take fall damage from short falls, which is sweet because I'm tired of dying after tripping over a fucking pebble.
Yeah. I remember reading in another set of notes, too, that they're fixing it so it makes sense on all different fall distances. So, like, when you fall from a great height, it should hurt you. Sometimes you can jump off a building and not get damaged. And then sometimes, like, a 2-foot drop will kill you. So,
right.
That's good.
They've also fixed some situations that would unintentionally make a player unrevivable.
I don't know the specifics about that, but I know I've been over players before trying to, like, zap them back to life. And I think it sort of comes from, like, when you get hit by a tank shell and your body goes sailing across the map. I think your hitbox might get detached from your body or something like that after you die, but
that would make sense.
Yeah, I don't know.
They've also increased the spawn protection time from 1 second to 2 seconds. The protection will still be immediately canceled as soon as the player moves or shoots.
So what that is when you spawn, you are technically invincible for a second. Unless you move your character around.
In any way except for looking around. That was the important thing I did take away from that.
Yeah.
If you actually move your player, taking a step, but twirling in place does not count as a move.
It's designed to help you, people from getting, like, severe spawn locks down, because you might not notice, but, like, on a conquest map, like, let's take A on Scene Crossing, there are like 4 or 5 fixed spawn areas that if you hold that flag that you will spawn in, and I don't know if it's randomized or if they have a priority for one, but that's how you can get people spawning behind you and stuff like that. So imagine if a team locked down your spawn so well that they knew what corner you were going to spawn in. That's what that now 2-second invincibility is for.
Right.
So that's good.
They've also increased the inaccuracy and recoil added when a player is fully suppressed.
Which is awesome, because it makes coordinated team play even more viable. The support class can lay down on the trigger and suppress an entire hallway and not just get picked off by a sniper or someone with an assault rifle that should be fully suppressed but still maintains their full accuracy. So, thumbs up to that one.
Yep. They have tweaked the damage and suppression levels of buck and flechette rounds to balance them with other weapons.
That's good, just to keep the shotguns viable in the game, I guess. I'm assuming that means they'll buff them. Yep. I don't know how they do that, but we'll see.
They've also increased the effectiveness of suppression resist specialization.
Well, that's good. Well, like you know how you can have, like, the specializations, like sprint specialization?
Ah, yes. I guess that would be a common sense thing, huh?
There's a suppression resist specialization that, like we were just talking about, it would help you maintain your accuracy and blur your screen less when you're being under fire.
Aha.
And the same thing with explosive resistance, I guess, which is the next one. Increase the effectiveness of explosive resistance.
That works. This is a big one. Parachutes now respond to turn and throttle inputs more quickly.
So when you're floating down from Domovan Peak, or you set up your beacon and you're trying to land on a crane, I guess it's going to be easier to, like, control yourself while you're parachuting.
Which would be nice, because I hate when the respawn beacon is set somewhere that people can get you to, like, spawn in, so you come in down on top of a roof and you're dropping kind of straight down. I know when a parachute you don't fly straight down, you move at an angle. But when you can only turn, like, 90 degrees when you've fallen 1,000 feet, that's kind of annoying.
Well, and have you ever drifted out of the fucking combat zone?
Oh, yeah.
like, no. You're just like, well, I'm screwed. So
this is another big one. Switching from primary weapons to sidearms and back now takes less time.
That is awesome.
Yes,
because another one that I actually deleted that kind of goes hand in hand with this is they've increased or decrease the amount of time it takes to get out of prone. So you'll be able to pop up from prone faster. So basically, it sounds like they're making everyone just that much more mobile.
Yeah, and speeding up the overall play of the game a little bit, just a little bit more.
Yeah.
Which is nice.
Yes.
The bipod should now be more reliable when deploying on top of sloped objects like cars and rocks, and I am stoked about that. I don't use the bipod that often, but that's really annoying when you're like, you're sitting up beside a pair of rocks and in crouch. It's perfect. It's just absolute perfect height, and you're like, click, 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 fucking bipod!
Then it deploys and it glitches you halfway down through the car.
Right.
So you're like shooting at the hood. Yeah, that's good that they fixed that.
They've fixed several issues with vaulting objects, especially for thin railings.
That is a dream come true.
Oh yeah, because you know, like I said, you can watch the guy jump up onto. You can jump over like one of these really tall railings. You come up to the small one, and it defeats him beyond all reason. It's like,
well, and on top of that, though, it engages you in the animation, but you're just like hopping up and down and being set back in the place that you started. So like you're sitting there tapping X trying to get over a guardrail in Operation Metro, and it completely defeats you.
Yep.
And then you die.
Last but not least, for the general gameplay fixes, the knife now only takes 2 swipes to kill when attacking from a position where a takedown is not possible.
I think that is awesome because the only time that I've had this happen is unintentionally, where I'm going to try and engage the knife animation and for some reason it doesn't work, and I just swipe the guy and I get a hit marker. And then, like, here I was a half a second ago expecting a perfect kill, like no questions asked, and now all I've done is notify this guy that I'm here, like while I tickled the back of his neck.
Right.
So like just being able to get one swipe again or a second swipe should kill him. That's nice.
Yeah, and the only time that happens to me is just absolute bad luck when I'm running up and I'm like, oh, here comes that takedown, dog tags are mine, and then right at the last second, like as you're about to click that melee button, the guy just decides to move.
He's like
oh,
180.
whiff. Yeah.
I guess we'll move on next. The second category is vehicle fixes, and the first one is the A10 properly gives jet score again. And what that is if you spawn directly into a jet, which most people do, they found that any kills with that jet would only go towards like their engineer class or whatever class they happen to be using, as opposed to unlocking things further for the jets, which I'm sure people may not have noticed but have still fallen victim to. The second one is unguided tank rounds and RPGs will now instantly destroy jets, attack helicopters, and scout helicopters.
I'm actually very excited about that because, seriously, trying to hit a chopper or jet or anything flying with an unguided tank round takes skill. And an RPG is actually even more difficult because most of the time, especially now, when the game first came out, it wasn't that many good people flying them. But now, pretty much the only people you see flying, they're really good at it for the majority of the time. So if you're good enough to land or lucky enough to land one of those unguided tank rounds on RPG, then I like that. I like that we're going to be rewarded with the instant destroy.
I'm a little heartbroken over it, but I'm going to talk as a helicopter fanboy for this entire part. And I know how frustrating it must be because I've successfully landed my chopper and repaired after getting hit by a main tank round. So.
Right, but how often does that happen? Like once in every 10 to 15 times you get in a chopper?
Yeah.
Maybe?
Yeah, maybe. I mean, and every time I've been hit by an RPG or an unguided tank round is pretty much my own fault. I do like a sweeping strafe run right over their head and then turn around super low in front of them. And then they're like, lol.
Right.
Fire. But the one notable exception to this is the transport helicopters not included. So, and I was reading up on it, and people seem to have decided that the transport helicopters can still take a hit, which is, I guess, fine. I mean,
yeah, it's fine because the transport helicopters are nowhere near as dangerous as a scout.
And if you're using them properly, they're more likely to be in those slow hovering positions, like trying to be a transport helicopter.
Exactly. Best example would be Caspian border attacking on rush.
Yes.
I mean, that's the best way to use that transport choppers just to sit there and hover over A or B on the first 2 MCOMs you need to attack, and just be that mobile spawn point. Let people keep spawning in and dropping in.
Yep. The next one on the list is increase the damage the main battle tank's primary weapon does to the front and side armor of other main battle tanks. Primarily, this means 1 less shot to the front, and very good hits to the side can result in a 1 hit to disable.
That's pretty big, because that's the one thing I have noticed about tank battles is they just fucking seem to go on forever.
Yeah. It's interesting. My take is, I mean, I'm fine with it because if I am in a tank battle, I'm not the best, so I want it to just sort of be over with. Like, I don't want to have to, like, come down to super tank tactics. But
right, and this will actually be huge for people that are really good, especially really good tandems in the tank.
Yeah.
Someone like our friend Veggie530, and I'll just throw myself in there. I'm good as a support player in that. If you time it perfectly, where the tank driver with his main gun can get a shot off, your guy that's on the machine gun jumps out, fires an RPG, and then gets back in right in time for that second tank shot to come out. I mean, boom, battle's over.
That's a down tank right there. So
right, so yeah, I mean that's going to be huge for very good tandem tank players.
Well, plus it makes it a point to say very good hits to the side, which I know the angle of attack is the big factor there. If you hit a perfectly 90-degree like perpendicular hit, it does more damage than say like a 45-degree angle on the side. So that adds just another level of skill, which is good. Moving on to the next one is slightly reduced the repair speed of the repair tool.
That basically means not so good news for Fake Thriller and I when we're wrecking people in the chopper.
In the scout chopper. But I think this is to play into, like, right now it's almost like if you have one person willing to dedicate themselves to repairing any vehicle, like whether it's a tank or a chopper, it pretty much makes that one invincible to one other chopper, you know?
Right.
Or tank. So I think what they want to do is to let's take a tank. Let's say I'm in a tank fighting you and Veggie in a tank, and you keep popping out to repair. I think they want me to be able to kill Veggie's tank like faster than you can repair it.
That makes sense.
If I'm not being, like, they want your repair to be like a supplemental help to Veggie. Like, if he comes out on top, it'll be because you contributed, but you won't be able to single-handedly keep him alive unless he removes the threat immediately.
Yeah.
So that works. Increased fire rate and minimum damage of the coaxial HMG for the tank, and increase the damage of the mounted gunner 50 cal HMGs do at long range. So that's just rewarding accuracy and skill with the heavy machine guns on tanks. The next one is increase the power of the repair tool when killing soldiers or destroying vehicles. So that's
not bad. It's
yeah. I would never. It's interesting that they would do that because I wouldn't ever recommend charging a tank or even a person with your repair tool. But I guess it makes sense if you're drilling into the back of someone's neck with a blowtorch. You probably do a bit of damage pretty quickly.
Yep, it just means some more repair tool killing streaks on top 10 montages.
Yeah. Fixed a problem when locking onto 2 nearby targets. The locking should no longer jump rapidly between multiple targets. This applies to all locking weapons and laser designators, which is, I think, great all-around news. It was kind of buggy before. I'm hoping that they do it right, though, so you can clearly decide who you're trying to designate and lock onto. So if your jet that you're following with a stinger just happens to pass by a chopper, it won't lose the lock and move to the chopper. So that's good. Increase the damage of the javelin and air-to-ground missiles against laser-designated targets. That just that's a good buff because that's rewarding players for working together using the CITV or laser painters or SOFLAMs, which I think you should be rewarded for. Slightly reduce the locking time of all weapons versus laser designated targets. And what that basically means is you're already going through the time to laser designate something with the SOFLAM or the CITV, and then it seems silly and redundant to have to get a full lock on with your Stinger or your Javelin after that.
Right, I agree with that.
This one is actually huge and causing a bit of ruckus, is laser guided missiles can now be distracted by flares.
Yeah, that doesn't seem to make sense to me.
I don't know why they would do that. Like, I know, like, we put out a video on No Shark Canal's spawn trap when the American team is stuck on the aircraft carrier and they can't get off because we have CITV station and guided missiles in the main battle tanks. But as a helicopter pilot, I know I could get out of that because I run ECM jammer, and I could get away from that threat. I mean, at that point, it's tough, but I could get away from it. But it's almost like they're rewarding the large majority of players that don't have ECM jammer yet by making flares do the same thing ECM jammer does.
Probably just rifle right through the next 3 or 4.
Yeah. Increase the locking distance for various missiles when locking onto different things. Locking will be a lot quicker. Flares will no longer break the lock of a vehicle that is locked on. It'll only distract the missiles. What that does is it punishes players who are too quick to fire their flares. What it does now is it breaks the lock, and you have to reacquire the lock on the person that just blew the flares. So that's assuming you haven't fired your missiles yet. So what it'll do now is nothing. If they fire too early, they'll probably just die. Flares now more reliably distract missiles, especially for helicopters.
That is huge because, and you've seen it in some of our more recent live comms where we've gotten locked on and I blow flares and yet we still get hit.
Yeah. Yep.
And it's just frustrating beyond reason because I know I've got it timed perfectly, but yet we're still getting drilled.
Yep. The next one, flares for jets and choppers now reload at 11 seconds again, except for the gunner, which remains unchanged at 20 seconds. So just some tweaks to the time. Anti-air missiles are more difficult to dodge in jets. What happened here is skilled pilots figured out easy enough ways to get away from Stinger missiles and stuff like that. And what it basically involved was just turning directly towards the area that the missile was fired from. This one I love. Anti-air missiles should no longer kill the pilot instead of the vehicle, which
I love that myself.
yeah, because we've had some moments where all of a sudden, like, one of us is just gone because it's like the Stinger broke through the window and hit me in the head or something.
Right.
Like, instead of exploding.
And the chopper remains intact and just slowly floats down to the ground.
Yeah. Anti-air missiles should no longer detonate before hitting their target. That I've noticed happens a lot against jets. They seem to blow up just in like the tailwind of a jet. It doesn't do any damage, but you still get a hit marker. It's really weird. Reduce the damage anti-air missiles do to jets to 45%, which is going to go tandem with this next thing. The Stinger now locks on much more quickly and disable an aircraft in one hit, but have significantly reduced range. So what that basically means is people who are coordinating and timing their shit right on the ground to take out anti-air should be able to do it if their awareness is up and a helicopter or jet lingers too long in their vicinity. So it gives a little bit more of a chance for the ground people around objectives to defend, like conquest flags and stuff like that. And it also relieves pressure on pilots because sometimes on Caspian border, when you're on the ground and locking onto a jet, you can get a lock from very far away, and as a pilot it can drive you crazy. Let's see. I'm going to go down to some of the big ones. The Mi-28 Havoc has received upgrades to its climbing and yawing abilities, basically making it more agile, and improved accuracy of the Havoc's gun to match the Viper's gun. That's huge.
Yeah, especially for me, considering I'm always the gunner.
Yes. Fixed several bugs with air vehicles colliding with objects at high speeds, taking no damage. And also the MAV will no longer destroy vehicles that run into it. Instead, the MAV will be destroyed. So basically, they're just getting their physics and their collision detection.
Makes sense.
Yeah, it's starting to make sense. Players, this is great for me. Players will no longer receive suicides or team kills if they crash their vehicle. You just get the dying punishment. And let's see. Disabled vehicles now have an increased reverse speed to help them recover after being disabled, so like tanks can back the hell out. And another big thing is below radar will now prevent the lock of Stinger and Igla missiles on helicopters, which is actually like really powerful, because that means as long as I maintain an altitude of less than 25 meters, I won't be able to be locked on.
Which is pretty sweet.
Yeah.
And I probably think the best patch of all, added horns to all Jeeps.
Yeah.
Come on. That's just huge. I mean, that's all about balance right there. What's the point of it?
We wanted to get this patch out as soon as possible, but we had to take a couple extra weeks to get the horns to all Jeeps.
Right, and we had to get that perfect pitch. You know, it had to be just that meat.
Yep.
Perfect.
Yes, they did field testing and everything.
Yes.
All right, I think that's going to wrap it up. There's a boatload more tweaks and bug fixes and even weapon rebalances. There's an entire list of weapon rebalances that we haven't even gone into, and you guys can find links to that in the description. And so be sure to comment down below what you guys are most excited for this patch, and hopefully it'll go through super soon and we can get finalized patch notes and really start to see what the game's going to be like.
Yep, and one final thing. I know a lot of you guys keep saying in the comments about all our previous weapon reviews, the ones we've already done, saying that this patch is going to change like a lot of things what we've done. It's fine. Honestly, all the weapons we've already done, there's nothing drastic. The only thing that's drastically going to change how the guns are played are the sniper rifles, because it used to be only one-hit kills with bolt-action rifles to the head and the neck, and now they're going to add the torso. That drastically changes how those sniper rifles play.
Yep.
All the other guns are just getting either a slight nerf or a slight buff to their minimum damage. And I know shotguns are changing the damage of the rounds and the range and stuff, but they're not significant damages or changes. So
yeah,
all previous weapons, we're just going to go back and throw on annotations to edit our stats and stuff.
Yeah, the biggest change is going to be hit by the sniper rifles, because they're changing hitboxes and one-kill hit rates, which is essential information for a sniper rifle. So that will be put on hold until the patch goes live.
Yeah, you didn't really clarify
about
what's going to be put on hold. All sniper rifles will be put on hold.
Yes. Sorry.
I don't think you made that very clear, but that's okay.
Sorry. Sniper rifles will be on hold. Regular weapon reviews, all the other weapons will be uploaded as planned.
Which have basically been very consistent on every 3 days.
Yes. So, all right, guys, we have rambled on for over 20 minutes now. So, like I said, leave a comment down in the comment section telling me what your favorite patch note is, and what you'd like, or if you haven't seen what you want fixed, be sure to leave that too. And if you haven't subscribed, be sure to do that now. And thanks for watching, guys. Hey guys, check us out on Twitter at twitter.com/fakethriller and twitter.com/Snoov603.